All right, so welcome back. This is Imagine Blue. We are here to discuss our thoughts on Wicked for Good, the second installment in the live action screen adaptation of the musical play Wicked. And yeah, what do you guys think? How do you feel? How do we feel about this final installment?
I mean, overall, I think that it was kind of a letdown comparing to the first one. Not to say that the movie didn't had enjoyable moments, but I do feel like the way the pacing was of the movie, it didn't really kind of live up to how the setup of the first one ended. And I felt like a lot of things were rushed, as well as just a lot of story beats that felt just like they weren't really um it just didn't really feel like they mesh well. It just felt like it was just kind of like, okay, this has to happen here, this happens to happen there, kind of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's sad because the movie really, like I said, the first one really was like really good and ended on such a great note, but this one kind of just felt a little bit lackluster comparing to the first one.
I tentatively agree. I think the movie kind of like grew on me after I had a second to sit with it. But I think the weak parts of the film are have to do with the pitfalls that are related to the play itself. I think Act 2 is definitely weaker story-wise in the onstage um, version, and then in the film adaptation, it kind of just adopts, those same weaknesses. But I still think it was a valiant effort from John M. Chu to kind of still make a really fun and novel film for everyone to enjoy. I mean, the songs are still great, the performances are great. I think the emotional beats were there for me. I really felt for Galinda and Alphaba and their friendship. I think that was one thing that was different from the play. They heightened their friendship and made that like a little more tragic, that kind of, unfortunate goodbye that they had to make at the very end of the play was definitely more dramatic than it was in the play. I think that was a good choice because story-wise, there's like not a lot much else that I feel like that's, you know, I'm
Yeah.
telling everyone about. But yeah, there's
Yeah,
that.
I think I agree with what both of you guys said. I feel like I'm coming into this film without any real like this is my first experience with Wicked. I haven't seen the stage play. I'm not
Same.
familiar with the original story beyond like its connection to the Wizard of Oz. And so there were some expectations that I think I had for how I thought the story was going to go, and it didn't necessarily live up to it for me. Now, I remember the very first time when I watched the first part of Wicked. I remember I watched it. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. The songs were great, and I went back and rewatched the original Wizard of Oz. And my thought was, I'm curious how they're going to make the transition between these two characters because the Wicked Witch of the West and Wizard of Oz feels pretty wicked. So this whole idea
Mm,
that she's this kind of tragic, misunderstood character, I'm like, okay, I'm like willing to go along for the ride. I'm sure they'll explain it in part
mhm,
two, but
mhm.
just me trying to tie these two things together was like it felt like it was a big chasm to kind of traverse. So going into this film, I had a couple of expectations. I thought that they were going to kind of show her transition into like this like fully wicked character. And
Mhm.
then also I think I was expecting that the story wasn't going to go and overlap with the Wizard of Oz. I think I was expecting it to kind of just
Mm.
end before the events of the Wizard of
Me
Oz.
too.
And so when it kind of overlaps, I'm like, oh, I wasn't really expecting this or ready for this. And I think
Mhm.
that honestly, that overlap is the messiest part of the story. And I think that kind
Mm.
of points to what you
Mm.
were saying, Crystal, in that this is essentially um, the stage play, like it's kind of just feeding off of exactly what was already established in the story. And people seem to have the same consensus that the second part of the play is weaker than the first part, and I suspect it's because of all of the kind of just like the messy, chaotic mess that the plot takes in trying to just, from a story perspective, combine the events of Wicked and the events of The Wizard of Oz, and it really just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and
Actually,
again, it's like an adaptation of an adaptation
Yeah, it's
of
true.
an adaptation. You know, because it's based on the play is based on the book. The book is based on the original movie in Technicolor. And that movie was based on, there was a Wizard of Oz book,
Book.
right?
Yeah, before that, yeah.
yeah.
So it's all just derivative, and things get really muddled for sure. Because in the Wicked book, she dies from the bucket of water. In the play, that's completely changed. It's just a fake out, like, oh, you know, she's alive after all, and she runs off with Fiyero. And then the movie takes from the play. But
Yeah,
yeah, so that
I
just
have a
comes with
question
that
about
mess.
that. Since you brought up the play, since you're familiar with the play, from my understanding, how did they did the relationship between her and Friero, right, the prince? Like, did she always had like an attraction towards him, and like they always wanted to be with each other, but because of her being a wicked witch or being green, that's why they never build it up, or is it's very similar to how they did in the movie?
It's pretty similar to how they did in the movie. I think one thing that makes her like more wicked, I think they tried to adapt this kind of like dark fantasy theme of things being really political with the animals, because she's definitely more of like this like freedom fighter, revolutionary Marvel superhero in a Wicked for Good film more than she is in the play. And I think that kind of heightens like her wickedness. But yes,
Interesting.
in the play there is the Fiyero and Alphaba romance. That's canon in the
I
play.
think okay, so for me, to me that's one of the downfalls in the movie because I felt like the relationship wasn't developed enough. Like it kind of comes off to me that the only reason why she's even into Pharrell, like Pharrell, I understand why he's attracted to her, but it feels like for her it's just like, oh, I finally have somebody who finally like likes me and it's like desires me, and that's the reason why I'm gonna spend the happiest or at least spend my time with him. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of to me, it was a little bit of
No,
a letdown for me there. With
that's fair.
that,
If it feels underdeveloped, and not just that relationship, but then there's these like flashbacks with, I don't know if you guys caught this,
Yeah,
but those flashbacks with like her,
the whole group.
you know, Alphaba,
yeah.
Galinda, but also Nessa, her sister, Fiero, and
And Bach.
the name of, yeah, SpongeBob, Bach,
Yeah.
where there's these like flashbacks that aren't even in the first film, kind of
Yeah.
implying that they all have a relationship a lot deeper than we initially even
See.
suspect or see at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a little bit of like a lazy plot convenience, kind of like lazy writing. Like flashbacks, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like we all have the same gripes about them. They can be lazy. And I feel like this is like kind of an example of one.
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
relates to the underdeveloped relationship between, I mean, what you feel like is valid between Fiero and Alphaba.
Yeah, and even going on that, like it really disappointed me that they were like granted, I know it's a happy ending that she gets with him at the end, but it's like I honestly wish they should have took like this is where I really wish he took more of like a more creative approach or a ballsy approach to actually have her with my god, now I'm forgetting her friend's name now at the top of my
Galinda?
head. Belinda, I feel like they should have ended up with the end, and not in a romantic sense, but like a friendship sense, because I just felt like the the
Yeah.
the
Or
bond
even
that
a
was
romantic
built beyond
sense.
that was just
Whatever.
well, if they
Just
wanted to
kidding.
explore it, fine, but
Well,
I
no,
didn't
you
get
bring
that
up a
from them.
good point. They do have like this uh kind of like very, what's the word for it? They have this dynamic where they're codependent almost.
Yeah,
Like they have a very deep relationship, whatever you want to call it, friendship, romantic, whatever, that kind of like outshines whatever Alphaba and Fiero have for sure. And like mostly everyone across the board is noticing that and feels the same way, I feel like.
yeah, because to me, it doesn't make sense to me. Besides, I get the whole point is that, oh, she needs to die so everyone doesn't, they need to feel like the bad guy died. But I just don't understand from her standpoint, why didn't she go, like, if she's alive, why not
Yeah,
go back to see her friend
that's
again and all
a
that? It
little
just seems a
tragic. I
little.
guess they thought Galinda had to go through the worst trauma of all time to start making good decisions and have morals. And that
Yeah.
Yeah.
sucks. But
Well,
uh
I think the weird, like, yeah, and I've seen a couple of people talk about the necessity for Glinda to believe that Elphaba is dead at the end. But, for me personally, that even the whole death, like quote unquote death, just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, just because
No.
they joke earlier in the movie about people believing that water kills her. And I don't think, like, unless I missed it, I don't know at what point it was established that water would actually kill her, if that was like initially played off as a joke at the very beginning of the film, and then now Glinda, who was in on that joke, is sad that her friend got splashed with water. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
that's
Honestly,
that's a
just
good
and then
point. I didn't
and
really
the
think about that. I mean, you could explain it in like a they didn't prove that she was like immune to water right then and there, and it sounds
I
ridiculous,
guess, but
and
that's
that's
just,
why they laughed about it.
and I think, and I chalk that up to, like, that's kind of just part of the whole mess of plot devices that kind of got
hmm
screwed up when they were trying to combine
hmm
this plot with the Wizard of Oz plot.
hmm
And just like, yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. I can, Fiero being strung up for like 2 seconds, I guess, before he got turned into a scarecrow, where
Yeah.
I don't think that makes a lot of sense. And then
It doesn't make any sense at all if he's supposed to be the scarecrow, because then it makes no sense that, okay, he's gonna go potentially kill her, even though he has feelings for her, and then
yeah,
he
I
just knows
guess
that she's
he was just like,
alive.
that was
It's
their plan the whole time. But
it's
then,
his plan all the
but then
time, but
even
even
the
then,
Tin
how
Man,
did she not notice that that was him until later on? It just.
yeah, but then even the Tin Man, like, we in Wizard of Oz, he's rusted in the forest because he's been there for a while. But like, he just got turned into a Tin Man like yesterday in the Wizard of Oz. I'm just like, I don't know. There's just a lot of just weird stuff that I'm like,
I think
um,
it's very loosely based, like
yeah,
I said, on the Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz is the inspiration for the book Wicked. I feel I mean, it's more closely related to the book Wicked,
okay.
which is a dark fantasy. I mean, it's like insane. It takes stuff from like Wizard of Oz and just kind of like runs away with it. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's rusty in the book too. I don't know. I haven't read it, but I wouldn't like look too closely at like whether stuff in like Wicked can be like completely canon also in the Wizard of Oz. I'd say those are like pretty separate entities.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess my whole point is that, like, it does seem clear that they tried to mesh the two. And I think in trying to mesh those two is where the plot kind of just falls apart or gets really,
hmm
really messy.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't want to necessarily harp on that too much. I will say that the song, like, the highlight was the goodbye between
The music.
Elphaba and Glinda. I think that
Mhm.
their song, for good, was the
Yeah, that was
highlight of the
beautiful.
movie.
I'll agree with
Um,
that.
and so that was a strong positive. What else? What else? I love that we got way more Jeff Goldblum in this
Oh yeah,
movie.
I would say he's the highlight. No,
Yeah.
Lokai, he's still the scene. Although I'm curious, was that also a plot point that he was always the father of her?
I
And
I'm not. I mean, I guess that's a question for
I'm
Crystal.
just curious in the Wicked story, or like, do you remember that in the musical that he was always secretly the father, or that's something they added just to?
It's definitely in the book.
Okay, it's in the book for sure.
So it's probably in the play. I don't.
Okay,
Okay. Okay. I
okay,
mean,
for
yeah.
sure, for sure.
That,
I'm just curious
Yeah,
about that.
I think there are like a lot of fans of No Good Deed. I think that's like some people's like favorite song ever in the entire play.
mm,
hmm
Um,
I mean,
So that was it. That was
the
definitely a
first one
highlight.
had the better songs, if I'm gonna be honest. Like,
Okay, I have to listen to it
I
because I
agree.
do
I
think
think
the
a lot of people
performances were better
agree
here.
too.
yeah, yeah,
There's definitely some like part two truthers out there that think the songs in part two slap more in both the play and the film. I disagree though. I disagree. Like I think it's definitely it seems like the majority of people seemed to like the story and the songs in part one more.
yeah,
And
yeah.
performances. I even like how, like, for example, I'm not a big fan, and maybe this is not performance, but written wise, I'm not a big fan how they did her sister because her sister just was unlikable.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
she was completely unlikable to the point when she got killed. I was all like, "Well, thank God she's dead." Like, it was just like, whoa, like 180. And I get that she
Yeah,
was hurt, that
it's
she was gone, but it
interesting.
just became
Yeah, because like they kind of made her evil in the way that I was kind of expecting them to make Elphaba evil, you
exactly.
know, and like make me dislike Elphaba, but like it ended up being
It
Nessa
was
for
just
some reason. I
crazy.
don't
I
know.
was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I was not a big fan of that, and I think that's another thing that kind of pulled me off because like she was one of my favorite characters in part one, so it was like I kind of like her
Aw.
story felt really struggle and ever, and then to make her this one-sided, jaded, selfish person, it was just like what the heck? Like it was just like something what happened with the writing where they kind of bastard her, and it was just like. And that's just how I felt. It's just like going back to part one. I guess I always have to compare it to part one. It's just like, maybe it's because they added the whole animal rights stuff to the Wicked, so it's like it gives her more layers to it. It's like they created this whole universe with Oz. That Oz is like this sort of thing where it's like even though it's magical, there's some there's discrimination going on and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then her downfall is a part of a systemic problem. And I thought that was such a cool
No.
twist to Oz. Like it
It
was such a
I
unique thing that they
agree.
added.
It's great.
It's,
I think the world building was really done really well in part one. I think too the setting I think can't be beat. Anytime you're kind of in like a university or a school setting, I feel like it's like a really fun time. I think that's really interesting because there's these like dynamics at play. Like there's cliques, there's, like popularity, and there's like, you know, professors and whatnot, everything that's associated with academia. And I feel like that's always really fun to watch and like really immersive for people, because they'll be like, everyone's been there, everyone's been to school, and they can kind of like put themselves in someone's shoes in certain situations. And so I
mhm.
think that's unmatched. Like that's what there's a little bit of magic in like their time at the university.
Yeah, I like that, and then I also just love like even when you because I remember partially why I watch the first ones because you recommend me to it, Crystal. You're like, go check it out. This is good, and like
Oh.
one of the coolest parts for
Yay.
me was just seeing the visuals and just like for me, I'm not the biggest like musical fan, but it was cool to see a whole that final scene where she's just singing while she's escaping, and then you have these like
So
flying
good.
monkeys. It was just visually
Goosebumps.
and like and you have action, you have like cinematography, you have music all coming together. It was just such a beautiful scene, and I just felt like with this movie we don't even get a beautiful moment like that.
Yeah.
It's just I
That's
don't know.
that's interesting. So I didn't know that I had convinced you to watch Wicked. That was so long ago. But so that's like I really like your guys' point of view because you weren't like initially fans of the Wicked play. You've never seen the on-stage adaptation, right?
No.
No.
Um okay, cool. So like you're coming in this with kind of like pure intentions and just wanting to see a good movie. So yeah, I think your complaints are definitely valid. I think it's some of the same complaints people have about, the stage play,
Yeah.
which is
Mhm.
interesting.
And I guess I don't know if this might be like transitioning the conversation a little bit,
Mhm.
but I feel like this film and possibly the play might have actually been the start of it. But the whole notion of taking evil characters or characters that are kind of established as evil and attempting to, what's the word,
Humanize them,
humanize
Or
them, but like
show them how they're
soften,
victims.
yeah, soften
victimize
their,
them,
yeah,
show their
exactly.
plight,
Make them less
Yeah.
than
their
kind of just like an
origins,
evil
their
character.
villain origin story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't know. And I was definitely I'm planning on making a TikTok about this subject, but like having these characters and like changing them, what what like is that worth it in the end? Like how do we feel like
Star
I
Wars
think
did
I
it.
like that.
do you think you
I
like
think it
it?
works really okay. Here's the reason why I think it works really well. It's because like for starters, there's that saying. I don't know if you guys heard it, but it's like when you're younger, you used to root for the hero, but then when you get older, you start to understand your villain. So it's like I feel like it's sort of peeling off to like the younger generation. When we watch these movies, we're all here like bad wicked witch, bad wicked witch, bad wicked witch, right? But then as we get older and we're seeing this retelling, now we're like, oh, now we see why she did that. Like now we see like why. So I think that's actually a good way for us as like the older adults rewatching these, like getting a retelling of a story and seeing from a different perspective of like, okay, maybe these characters that we were told that were bad the whole time, although what they did was screwed up, there is something to them that kind of led it to that. And, us just calling them the bad, bad, bad may not be a good way. I also feel like what I love about it is it also deconstructs society, right? Because in society, we're always told what is good, what is bad. But as you get older, you realize that's not as black and white. And I think that us having stories like that want to deconstruct of, okay, these people are villains, these are evils, but is the right way to just shame them? Like, is this the best way? Or maybe we can look at what caused them to be wrong and maybe find a productive way to help them. So I think, honest to God, I like this approach because it's
Yeah.
making this more deconstructed.
I think your take is a little bit more um nuanced than even what I'm kind of maybe pointing the finger at. Just because like your whole thing is like there's an understanding, right, of these characters who are considered evil or considered wicked, and you can get a better understanding of what factors led them to that point. But I think with this, and I think I was kind of expecting that kind of story from Wicked, but with this story, it's like it's not like we're understanding what got her to that point. It's like, oh, she was never that at all. You know what I mean?
I see
Like
what you're
it's
saying.
kind of it's
Yeah.
changing it completely. And
Okay, I see what you're saying.
yeah, like it's a little
I see what
different
you're
from what you're
saying. I
talking
see.
about, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I think I
I
was
see what you're saying.
yeah, I was expecting a little bit more of just like the I was curious to see, the downfall of the character and like
Yeah,
what
I
got
see
her
what you're
to
saying.
yeah,
You wanted to see how someone could change into such a compelling villain, but in the
yeah,
end, she wasn't even a villain
A
at all.
villain,
It was
that's
like a
true.
exactly.
great big misunderstanding,
Yeah,
y'all.
Exactly.
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 And
Exactly.
and
That's
that kind
true.
of it kind of removes some of like the mystery there and some of like the
Mhm.
stuff that made you really compelled and interested to begin with.
Mhm.
I think
Mm,
yeah, I think
that's
that
true.
aspect can be a little disappointing
I would agree.
when you
Because
frame it
like
like that.
even if you think about it, like there really was nothing she did that was wicked. Like if
Yeah.
you really think about it, there was nothing she
Well,
literally did that was like, you
Like,
know what?
I want to free
Screw
wait,
these
you.
animals.
they should
That's
name
Everyone,
evil.
these
Like
movies
none of
not
that. Like
wicked.
yeah, everyone is
like
just like,
Wicked.
no,
now
we
you
need
bring it
to,
up, it's
these
like
animals need to be, like,
like
okay.
literally, like there was nothing like, you know what, like I know it's petty, but somebody's gotta die or something like that. Like that would have been
Like
actually would have
Yeah.
been more
the
So
Wicked
you want
plausible
to
Witch.
see
for it.
someone where they do like messed up stuff and then try to argue that the ends justify the means.
Something like
But
Something
this
that.
is
like
just
that.
not that.
Yeah.
This is not that story. This is not that
The
type
Wicked
of
I don't
story
know,
the
not
but
at
the
Wicked
all.
way
Witch
the
of the
witch was
West,
painted in the original story, it was like that. So it's
the
just
Wicked
I don't
Witch of the
know.
West is like one of, if not the most like iconic movie villain to exist. And I think like having a
Yeah.
deep dive into a character like that would have been super interesting. And I think that's kind of what I was expecting from this story. And I've heard about the Wicked play for years, but that's like somebody who I don't like go out of my way to watch like stage plays or musicals and stuff like that. It's like I've never saw it, but like all of this time, that's kind of like what I was expecting that story was about, and now learning that it's kind
Even
of
Yeah.
just
then,
like a
and to
They've
add on to it,
subverted your expectations
yeah,
yeah, but to
yeah,
add on to my
in
point,
a bad way.
not that she needs to like actually kill someone, but it would have been interesting to see like, someone does something that is in her way and she does like an actual magical spell
Like
that actually
something
like hurts her.
irreversible.
It's
yeah,
sort of
Yeah.
because it seems like like for example, Tin Man became Tin Man. It seemed like it was an accident. It
it
wasn't like she
was, yeah,
intentionally
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, dude, it was in my way. So I
And
feel
she
like
saved his
that would have been
life.
more compelling.
It's like,
Yeah, it was just like, oops, this was a side effect. It's like Like that's how I feel, you
Yeah.
know.
Also, why does Tin Man care about a heart? Shouldn't he care about getting not being a Tin Man?
That's funny.
Anyway,
He didn't even care about having a heart in Wicked. I think
he just cared about
he
killing.
just wanted revenge. But that's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
not really
Yeah.
like the original Technicolor film at all.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Dang, now I want to read the book. I wonder if the book she actually is just like truly wicked. Like she's just like, you know what? I want people to have like snails on their nails because they pissed me off one day. You know, like that'd be such an interesting like
No, it
actual
for
take on
sure
this.
is. There's like, if you look it up, like the whole relationship with Fiero. I don't want to like spoil anything, but there's
Oh,
like,
okay. I actually want to hear this.
there's like, yeah, no, there's like different things. Like there's like, people like have children, like people like become slaves. Like it's like crazy. It's dark. It is dark fantasy.
Dang.
Like it is truly dark fantasy. So if you are interested in seeing like, a more effed up version of this movie, it exists in the book. Originally, Wicked gets pretty dark.
Dang,
novel.
you know, that would have been actually interesting if the relationship with Furl in the movie actually did something dark to him that makes her attracted to him. Like that actually would have been interesting.
Yeah,
And her
I mean,
justification is like,
Mhm.
well, people think I'm ugly in the first place, so I deserve to have this. And it's like,
in the
That's interesting.
book, these characters have like families. They have like fleshed out lives that like are that goes into them. It goes into this like psycho political stuff too, like and lots of, I mean, like there's underserved communities, there's like inequality, like there's all kinds of stuff. It's very, and there's like a lot of like adult themes in the book.
Mhm.
And it's definitely watered down in the play. The play is like an even more like it, I mean, if you think about theater in general, like camp is like a really big
Yeah.
thing involved in the most successful, stage plays. And so, the Wicked play is campy and it's fun and the music is good, and that's all that mattered at the time. When
Any other thoughts on the story, the film? How about the whole Madame Marble, flip it around, Wicked Wit, the other way.
She's such a queen.
That's
I
so
love
funny.
Michelle Yeoh. She's a queen. She's mother.
I gotta give recognition to her because isn't she the Nigerian?
Oh, Cynthia.
Sorry, I'm talking about Miss. Yeah,
Cynthia
she's
Erivo?
Nigerian.
Yeah, Cynthia Erivo. She's Nigerian.
Yeah, and she's also our tribe OC, so you know.
Yeah, she is.
Love that. Yeah, I mean,
So-
the cast is great. I can't imagine like anybody else in these roles now after these films, and I think that's at least one thing that can't be taken away from these films.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ariana Grande was a brilliant Glinda. Cynthia Erivo
Yeah.
did great as Elphaba.
They made those roles their own.
Yeah,
They own at least the
absolutely.
movie version of those roles now.
Absolutely. And yeah, Cynthia's version of The Wizard and I is my favorite thing to come out of all of this stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely a big fan.
Big fan of the first one.
Yep, first one was amazing. I'm gonna pretend this one never happened. The first one is the only one that exists.
I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
fair.
yeah.
Firm but fair.
Yeah, but if you guys have any thoughts about not the Wizard of Oz, if you guys have any thoughts about Wicked, speaking of which, I just want to shout out, if you have seen the Wizard of Oz, if you've seen Wicked 1 and 2, if you have not seen The Wiz, you need to, like, as far as all of the films that are connected to this universe, if you have not seen The Wiz, you need to get on that as soon as possible. That's Michael Jackson, Diana
Dang,
Ross.
deep cut.
And I'm just, I gotta put it out there. I'm sure that there are plenty of people who call themselves fans of The Wizard of Oz and have not seen The Wiz. So I need to
That's true.
shout it out. I need to shout it out.
It's
That
The Wizard of Oz
black
amongst
cinema.
urban sprawl.
Yeah, black cinema
true.
history, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I watched The Wiz less than a year ago. Like I rewatched it within the last calendar year, and those songs, oh my gosh, like they definitely are they rival the Wizard of Oz, like the original Wizard of Oz, in my opinion. And it's like, of course it does, because it's, like I said, Michael Jackson,
Yeah,
Diana
Michael
Ross,
Jackson. Yeah.
all of
Get on
those
down the road.
great people. So yeah, if you've not seen it in a while, and it's also quite scary. Like, it has some good scares in there as well. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys have any thoughts on Wicked and Wicked for Good, if you guys disagree with anything that we've said, if you guys agree with anything that we've said, let us know down in the comments, and we'll catch you guys later. Peace.
It's